They hit big shots. Rico, Clippers have no identity.
What do you say? What do you know? It's the full Monte Sports Show. It is Sunday, October 3rd, 2021. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. I want to thank everyone who tuned in last week. We had 35 states tune in across the country watching the full Monte Sports Show. Really appreciate the support. Our goal is to do this 5 days a week, and we can only do this with your help. So if you like this show, please give us a thumbs up on this particular show and subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. Yes, it is free. You just go to Nuts and Bolts Sports under YouTube and you hit the subscribe button. That's how easy it is. That's how easy it is. Very rough night for me last night. Didn't really drink, although after watching that Oregon Duck horrible play calling, I probably should have been at the bar doing shots. But I'm a solid pro. So I went to bed early, even though I was extremely depressed. And we'll get into that Oregon craziness in a minute. But I just want to give a big shout out to Alabama. People talk about Alabama and they get sick of them and they're like, it's no fair that he wins. I mean, he took on the number 13 team last week. It was yesterday, and it was 21-0 before the game even started. It was just a joke. They are so prepared. They are so deep. You look at what's happening with Clemson. They lose a bunch of starters. Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne going to the NFL. Nick Saban doesn't care. No matter who leaves, he has 2 or 3 backups who in some cases are better. So a big shout out to Alabama football. We have the best guests all across the country, and this week is no exception. We're going to have Vashti Hurt join us from AT&T Stadium. That's right. She's covering the game tonight. She's covering the game this afternoon between the Dallas Cowboys and my Carolina Panthers. Yes, you got that right. Dallas Cowboy, 2-1, 3-0 Carolina Panthers. I had the Carolina Panthers as my sleeper team. A lot of people thought I was crazy for that, but I really, really like what Carolina's doing. They're without Christian McCaffrey. They're without their rookie defensive back, Horn. So it's going to be interesting to see. These two guys are going to miss the game. Horn might be out for the year with a broken foot. And then return of the Mac. Stephanie Mack's going to join us from California. She is going to talk about the San Francisco 49ers, and we're going to get a little bit into the Golden State Warriors. The Lakers play their first scrimmage today. Obviously, LeBron and company are not playing, but there's a lot of talk about NBA, especially with the Lakers acquiring all the pieces. LeBron James, the leader of this team. It should be a fun year for NBA, but we're here to talk predominantly NFL, and that leaves Rico Show Me the Money Graziano at the top of the hour. If you are betting on football, Rico's the guy you want to listen to. He has 2 winning weeks, 1 losing week. Over the last 20 weeks, he's like 15. Over the last 21 weeks, he's 15-5-1, winning people money. He's 1-2 against me in fantasy football. So if you do fantasy football, you definitely want to check that out. But we're going to start the show today with the good, the bad, and the funny. Let's start with the good. Look, 95% of NBA training camps, players have reported 95% have received at least one COVID-19 vaccine. Look, if you believe in science, then this is a good thing, right? Getting the vaccine, keeping players safe. It's going to be real interesting to see what's going to happen with these 3 guys. Bradley Beal, Kyrie Irving, Andrew Wiggins. They don't believe in the vaccine. Thank God these guys weren't around during polio or smallpox, because let's face it, a lot of these people would be wiped out. So good for the NBA. We said it when this COVID pandemic started. We said, watch what sports teams do. And the NBA shut down. The NFL shut down for a little bit. No fans. NBA played in a bubble. Look to sports in times like this, because let's face it, some of these owners in the NFL are the greediest people in the world. No money is big enough, no amount. So when you see owners of NBA and NFL teams taking precautions and trying to protect their investment, that's where I look to for leadership right now. I look to sports because they pretty much set the trend on safety and protocol. So congratulations to the NBA for getting 95% of their players vaccinated. So that's the good. Let's get to the bad. Look, I don't know what's going on here in Philadelphia. Um, the Sixers management made their team worse by just think about this, right? They had solid pros in Al Horford and Jimmy Butler. We've all seen what Jimmy Butler has done with Miami, but Ben Simmons came out this week. By the way, look at the Philadelphia 76ers team right there, teammate, when Ben Simmons is about to take a free throw. He looks so annoyed. Joel Embiid came out and said, "We did everything. We did everything to build this team around Ben Simmons. We traded away good players so Ben Simmons can have the ball in the last 5 minutes of the game." Why the hell do you want this guy having the ball in the last 5 minutes? He shoots 40% from the foul line, and that's being, I'm giving him good numbers. I'm saying on a bad night. He doesn't shoot the three, and good for you, Joel Embiid. Good for you coming out and said, we traded away Jimmy Butler and Al Horford because they wanted Ben Simmons to have the ball in the last few minutes of regulation. Terrible job by the Philadelphia 76ers. They're not going to get a lot for him because Ben Simmons already says he wants out of Philly. So this organization, I mean, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You make a terrible decision by trading away all your good players so Ben Simmons can run the show. And Ben Simmons is not even he's a great player from the first quarter to the third quarter. After that, he's useless. And the Sixers even sat him late in games during the playoffs. This is the guy you're building your franchise around? What a joke. What terrible management. We all heard the saying, trust the process. Well, the process sucks in Philadelphia, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So that's the good, the bad. Now let's get to the funny. Look, people outside of Florida know how crazy this is. Okay? People outside of Florida know how crazy this is, but this is becoming an everyday occurrence. This is becoming an everyday occurrence. A U.S. Army veteran in the Sunshine State said that his daughter came in and said, "Daddy," his daughter was 11, said, "Daddy, this alligator is hissing at me," in his backyard. He was like, what? He was in the garage. So what did he do? He captures this alligator. This is trending all over social media. People wrote a song about the Florida man. He traps the alligator that was in his home in a garbage can. Listen, I post videos all the time. He actually released the alligator back into some swamp. They drove miles to do this, putting a weight on the garbage can. But I post videos all the time when my dad goes golfing here in Florida, iguanas, alligators. It's like Jurassic frickin' Park up in here. It is crazy up in here. And this is just like a normal day. Like, look at him. How about this? He's in sandals. He didn't even go in to get like sneakers on. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to be casual, catch an alligator in a garbage can. Wow. That's Florida, people. That's Florida. All right. Keep the comments coming. All right, Joe. I'm knee deep into it. Joe obviously is cooking right now. Obviously cooking. Yes. Terrible loss. Terrible loss. I'm going to get into it about Oregon. It's just, I mean, the coaching staff is just a joke. I just unbelievable. Keep the comments coming. We love having them. You guys really make the show more interactive, and I love the chat room. So please keep them coming. Okay, we're going to go around the NFL. I do this every week. I do it in about 5 or 6 minutes. And the reason why I pick straight winners is because I said this before. A lot of my audience, they don't bet. My dad watches football. He doesn't bet. My friend Andrea watches every game. They don't bet. So I have Rico on to do that. But I just pick straight winners. So if you're watching games, you know trends. You know what to look for. Right now, I'm 23-16. Not exactly great. I mean, I'm 7 games above 500, but my goal is to win 80% of games. I don't get going usually until like week 4, week 5. I went back and listened to old podcasts. I mean, there were times where after week 4, I was down by 2 or 3 games, and then I've always finished over 72% straight winners. So here we go. The 0-3 Colts at the 1-2 Dolphins. Carson Wentz, my boy, has lost 7 straight starts. Carson Wentz has lost 7 straight starts. Longest losing streak of his career. And how about this, guys? He's completing 57% of his passes in a Frank Reich offense that has Jacoby Brissett playing well when he was on the team. Jacoby Brissett, why do I bring him up? Because I'm the master of segues. That's why. Also, because he's starting now for the Dolphins because Tua is injured. There's something not right about this Colts team. Their offensive line was supposed to be their strength, and they're not good at all. I thought Carson Wentz would have a great year, like I said, 57% completion, not getting it done. Take Miami here. They are too good to go 1-3. Dolphins win 23-17. Tennessee Titans, they're without their 2-star A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Doesn't really matter, though. They have Derrick Henry, and you know what's going to happen. They are just going to run up and down all over this terrible Jets team. You know how most teams are better after a bad loss, right? Think about this. The Jets are now 0-4 in games where they got shut out the previous week. Miami lost 35-0 to the Buffalo Bills. And then if it wasn't for a blown call in the end zone against the Raiders in overtime where Will Fuller got tackled and they didn't call the pass interference penalty, they would have won the game coming off a horrible loss. The Jets don't do that. Titans roll here, even without their 2 wide receivers. Take the Titans 30-10. Jets have the worst offense in the NFL. All right, a lot of people are talking about this Giants team. The Giants are 0-3. They travel to the Saints. Saints playing at home for the first time all year. The Giants have lost 6 of 8 to NFC South opponents. I keep hearing Joe Judge is a good NFL coach. Show me something, dude. You were 6-10 last year. You're 0-3. Now, one of the reasons why Joe Judge is getting a lot of credit is because the Giants have led in every game they have played. But this isn't everyone gets a trophy. You got to finish. You got to finish. I don't understand why everyone's on the Giants bandwagon this week. The Saints at home for the first time. I like the Saints here 31-21. I like the Saints 31-21. 0-3 Lions at the 1-2 Bears. Everyone wanted to fire Matt Nagy last week when Justin Fields had a total of 1 net passing yards. And I get it. He was horrific. Terrible play calling. He made Mario Cristobal, the Oregon Duck coach, look good. And they only had 1 yard. But let's just remember, he's been to 2 playoff games over the last 3 years with Mitchell Trubisky. I expect Justin Fields today to play much better. I expect him to run. I expect him to roll out. Listen, if Matt Nagy's not playing to Justin Fields' strength, Justin Fields needs to go to management and say, look, he's not putting me in the best position to win. He's not putting me in the best position to win. So this Detroit Lions team plays hard, but they're just not good. And I don't like their coach, we're going to break kneecaps or whatever the hell he said in his press conference. Nagy is 5-1 against the Lions. This is the only game I'm not sure about, but I'm going to take the Bears here just because they have a better roster, 27-23. Okay, 27-23. I think the Bears win this one. Okay, Buffalo Bills, look, they're on a roll. I don't know how they lost to Pittsburgh. Just shows you that week 1 doesn't really mean anything. They lost to a terrible Pittsburgh Steelers team. But rookie quarterbacks are 1-4 against Sean McDermott, the Bills head coach, since 2017. Josh Allen is the second best quarterback in the AFC right now. I'll take Justin Herbert over him. I expect him to throw 4 touchdowns. Houston is just outmanned here. They're going to lose 38-17. They're going to lose 38-17. Bills will roll. 1-2 Chiefs at the 1-2 Eagles. Let's be honest. The Chiefs should be 0-3. I don't know what's happening to Tyreek Hill. I really don't. I know teams are double teaming him. So what that means is the safety's playing deep and a defensive back is playing in front of him. Wherever he goes, Tyreek Hill is getting double teamed. In his first game against the Browns, He had 11 catches, 197 yards, and 1 touchdown. Since then, 3 catches in 2 games, 14 yards. Look, Andy Reid, everyone says you're this great offensive guru. Okay, how about getting some wide receiver screens? How about getting some reverses? How about putting Tyreek Hill in the backfield and let him make some damn plays? 3 catches in 2 games. I'm happy because I'm rooting for the Los Angeles Chargers to win. Expect the Chiefs to come out and do all sorts of crazy plays here, reverses, double screens, double handle, anything you can make up with if you were playing in the playground. Expect the Chiefs to do that, and they win here 30-17. All right, big game here. 3-0 Cardinals. 3-0 Cardinals at the 3-0 Rams. I'm going to tell you right now, I really, really like what they have done here in Los Angeles. I love the fact that they required Sony Michel from the Patriots. I think Sony Michel is going to be the featured back today. The Rams are coming off a massive performance against Tampa Bay. Remember, they scored 31 points in the second and third quarter. The Rams did. Now, Kyler Murray has been playing out of this world, out of this world, and their defense is better than we thought. Their defense is better than we thought. Could be a letdown game, right, for the Rams after beating Tampa Bay and all that emotion. But I think the Rams pull it out in a close game here. In a close game, take the Rams 31-25. Take the Rams 31-25. Okay, we have the Green Bay Packers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Green Bay Packers versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is going to be see the thing here is this is going to be a game where the Packers just came off playing a physical team, San Francisco, right? And now they're going, I know Pittsburgh's injured, but they are going to be playing a physical team in the Steelers. Playing a physical team in the Steelers. I like the Green Bay Packers here, but I don't think it's going to be easy. Pittsburgh is desperate. They're 1-2. They need this win because let's be honest, the Browns are playing better. They just lost to the Bengals. So this is Pittsburgh's like last hurrah because like I said last week, they're going to finish third and fourth in this division. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record, ever. Mike Tomlin has never had a losing record coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. But my Packers have proved me wrong. They are playing with a sense of urgency after getting shellacked 38-3 in opening week to the New Orleans Saints. I'm going to take the Packers here 33-23. I think the Packers score a late touchdown and pull this game out of reach. Sorry, Rico. Sorry, Rudy. Sorry, all you Pittsburgh Steelers fans. They are going to be 1-3. Okay, the 2-1 Ravens at the 2-1 Ravens at the Denver Broncos, who are 3-0. Listen, Teddy Two Gloves. They call him Teddy Bridgewater Two Gloves because he is literally wearing two gloves during the games. He's played well. He hasn't just managed the game like we saw him in years past. He's played very well. And I really like the way this I know they've lost their wide receivers, but they're playing with a sense of urgency. They're playing with a sense of urgency. So I'm going to take the Broncos here to upset the Ravens. I'm going to take the Broncos here to upset the Ravens, and they win 30-24. All right, finally, we're not going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Raiders. I will talk about that on the Monday night show. Let's bring on Vashti Hurd here. She's actually en route via Uber, so we thank you so much for joining the show. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit, but I can hear you.
Okay, let's just get to the questions right now. You asked a great question to Matt Rule, basically saying that the rest of the league and the rest of America is saying you're 3-0, but you haven't played anyone, and he had a great response.
Yeah, basically he said that's what he wants. He does not want people hyping up the Carolina Panthers. He wants to remain the team that was in Wofford, that was grinding, that was hustling, and that nobody really believed in and nobody was talking about. So he doesn't want anybody to play into this hype. But I think they'll be singing a different tune if the Panthers are able to pull off this win today in Arlington.
Yeah, it's almost like he wants to stay under the radar. I watched your question in the press conference, and he says, "I missed the team when we were staying at a hotel, double sessions. That's the team that I want."
Yeah, and it sounds good. The players may not want that team back. But yeah, I mean, they were able to bond. They did a lot of bonding in Spartanburg, and that's where, from what Rule has said, that's where they built the foundation of this team. Grinding it out practices. They had two joint practices with the Colts and with the Ravens. So it was a time for them to really lay the groundwork for this team. And right now at 3-0, I guess it's paying off.
Yes, and I hate to bring this up, but I did say that we have a very competitive and a team that's better than most people think, because the Carolina Panthers are my sleeper team. Now, they have had a rough game 3, even though they won, because you lose Christian McCaffrey, you lose Horn. When are they coming back, and is Horn done for the year?
Yeah, Horn is done for the year. He's on IR, and which is one of the main reasons why they brought in C. Henderson from Jacksonville. Christian McCaffrey is another story. They could have put him on the temporary IR to have him out for 3 weeks. They elected not to. I'm assuming that Christian is going to want to come back sooner than later. He's definitely not playing this week. I won't expect him to play next week, but I wouldn't be surprised if he played, if he took a couple of weeks off and then came back.
I was curious to why they didn't put him on. Why not just put him on the shelf for 3 or 4 weeks? Why didn't they make that move?
That was Christian's decision. And Matt Rule said that he was going to let Christian decide what was best for him and his body. And that was, I think that was a Christian-led decision, that he wants to come back sooner than later.
Okay, now talk about CJ here. They acquired him for a 5th-round pick to the Panthers, and they traded their tight end. CJ Anderson was a top 10 pick. I thought this was a home run move after losing Horn.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of questions about CJ Henderson, 1st-round pick. You give up Dan Arnold and a if it pays off, it really pays off. And Scott Fitterer can be building kind of what they had in Seattle with the Legion of Boom. I think that Fitterer has made moves that really aren't too risky. So it's high reward, low risk, which is always good. And when you have Horn out for the rest of the year, why not roll the dice on a guy like CJ Henderson?
So this defense, there was a lot of question marks coming into it because they were inexperienced and young. I know they haven't played elite talent, but they've played very well. They're in the top 5 in almost every category. How do you like this defense? What has shocked you about them?
Just tell me when.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just pulling up to the stadium. This is as real as it gets, guys. So I'll be hopping out of the car soon. But as far as the defense, I like their grit and I like their hunger. Hassan Reddick really has set this tone as us against the world. And Brian Burns he's had that edge to him as well, because he feels like his name isn't mentioned amongst good pass rushers. So yeah, I like what Reddick and Burns are the leaders of this team. And Deshaun Jackson kind of on the back end. But they've really set this tone of, we are a gritty team. Nobody believes in us, and we're going to prove it to you guys.
Okay, so you're pulling up to the AT&T Stadium. Let's get you
Yes,
out of
I
here.
am.
Just give us a quick prediction. Who wins and why?
I hate doing these, but my gut is usually right. And my gut is telling me the Panthers eke it out. People are shocked. And I would probably say 27-24.
Okay, we're going to have you on in a couple weeks. Thanks so much for jumping on.
Thank you.
Take care. Okay, that was Vashti Hurt joining us. Real quick, she's pulling into AT&T Stadium. Love that she came on. That was awesome. We got the times a little confused. She thought that she'd be at the stadium a little bit earlier, but she does a tremendous job. What we're going to do is we're going to come back from a commercial break, and then I'm going to give you my chili recipe. We were going to save that to the end, but we have some time here, so I will give you my chili recipe. Get your pen and paper ready. Great job for Vashti coming on. Again, she thought that she would be at the stadium sooner, but her Uber kind of got messed up. When we come back, my award-winning chili recipe. You're watching the full Monte Sports Show live on YouTube.
East Coast Covers, creator of the Smart Commuter Cover, designs and manufactures custom American handmade quality products. It is the only cover with an adjustable 4-toggle lock-in cord system, which lets you create the fit you want without the need for additional tie-downs. The cover conveniently self-stores when pulled into the attached backpack and also provides a pocket for storing small belongings. Nearly 42 years of riding experience are behind every design with a cover for whatever two wheels you ride.
All right, I want to thank Vashti again for hopping on. Again, we thought we'd get at the AT&T Stadium. Obviously, her plane and Uber and all that stuff didn't work out the way she wanted it, but really appreciate it. Okay, listen, we talked about this, right? This show is comedy, it's sports, and now we get into the cooking part. We're going to have like 3 or 4 chefs come on throughout the year, give us some tailgating recipes. So, right now, listen, don't worry about writing stuff down. The great thing about YouTube is you could take this right now from this moment on, uh, play it back in your kitchen, on your phone, on a computer, so you could see my legendary chili recipe. Okay, so we are going to start with this recipe. Okay, there are several things that you need to know. First of all, you only need you need one big pot and one pan. That's all you need. That's all you need. This is not, one of the things that really frustrates me as a former chef and working is that people who don't clean up as they go. I clean up as I go. So that's good news for you. You need one frying pan and you need one big pot to complete this recipe. So here are the ingredients. Here is what you are going to need to make this chili recipe. Okay, now I use 4 different meats. Okay, I use the ground chicken, ground pork. Some people use ground beef. I don't because ground beef gets a little too fatty and it's a little too oily. But here is everything you need. And I use the fourth meat is some pepperoni. We'll get into. So you're going to need some marinara sauce. You're going to need jalapenos. You're going to need sour cream. You're going to need garlic. You're going to need one red onion, one white onion, and I use chopped tomatoes. I don't cut the tomatoes because there's too much water when you use a tomato. You're going to need any sort of salsa, but make sure it's thick. It's thick salsa. You're going to need Frank's red hot sauce and 1 can of light beer. You're going to think it's funny, but I usually use Michelob Ultra or Heineken Light. The light beer makes a difference in just a regular beer. Trust me on this. I don't know why, but it does. Again, these are all the ingredients you are going to need. And again, what's not seen here is red kidney beans, which we will get into and we will show you. So this is what you're going to start. You're going to get a pan. Okay. And you're going to start with chopped garlic, one red onion, one. Okay. Now, once you have that, you're just going to chop it up into really fine pieces. You're going to throw it in the pan. I use 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic. 2 tablespoons of chopped garlic. And there's the red onion. There's the white onion. So you're going to chop that up. Okay, you're going to cook that in a pan. You do not want this to get brown. You do not want it to brown up. You do not want it to get crispy. So what you do is when you start seeing it get hot, you're going to throw a little chicken stock in there. Okay, so it doesn't crisp up. The next thing you're going to do, after you've added the garlic, after you've chopped up the onions and you're frying it up, you are going to get the diced tomatoes. Look how beautiful that looks. Look how beautiful that looks. The diced tomatoes, right? And again, so this doesn't brown up, so it doesn't burn, you add your chicken stock. You add. Now you're going to let that cook for a few minutes, 3, 4 minutes till it gets really hot. Okay? And then once you do that, you start adding your jalapenos. I chop up the jalapenos nice and easy, nice and small, so we don't have big chunks. One of the things that I don't want my chili to have is big chunks of meat, big chunks of jalapeno. I don't want any of that. I want it to be very smooth to the taste, very not hard to chew. Sometimes you get chili and there's a piece of ground beef in there that's the size of a rock. I don't do that. Okay, so where are we at right now? Where are we at? We're frying up the jalapenos, the diced tomatoes, the garlic. Once that is done, once that's hot, after about 5, 6 minutes on medium flame, again, you never want to cook this chili. Anything that I put in here is not at high flame. It's slow cooking, medium flame at best. Medium flame at best. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add. Now, once we add the pepperoni, I have it there. The pepperoni is in one piece, right? You see that? Then what do? I chop up the pepperoni. I cut it up because, again, we do not want people eating big chunks of food. So I chop up the pepperoni once it's cooked. Then I put it into the big pot. Look how beautiful that looks. Look how beautiful that looks. I then put it in the big pot and let it simmer there on low flame with a little chicken stock. And I'll put in a little. Now, people would say, Mom, why do you put in a little butter? Well, this is going to be a little spicy. So the butter cuts in the spices. One of the things I do not use corn in my chili. Corn adds a sweetness to the chili, and my chili should have a kick to it. I think all chili should have a kick to it. So where are we at? We went through frying up the onions. We went through frying up the jalapenos. We went through frying up the diced tomatoes. And then we just put this in a big pot and let it slow cook with the chicken stock. With the chicken stock. And again, you don't want to drown it in chicken stock, okay? We don't want our chili to be a soup. We want it to have some thickness to it. Once that's cooking there, now it's time to take the pan. Again, you're only using 2 pots here. You're using a big pot and a pan. That's it. Well, the first thing we do is we're going to cook our ground pork. We cook our ground pork, and again, we add chicken stock to it if it gets a little too dry. We cook it for about 70%, and then we throw it into the pan. But make sure before you throw it in the pan, you drain the sauce. You drain that chicken stock and that flavoring, and people like, Monte, that takes away the flavor. No, it doesn't. I don't add any salt. I don't add any seasoning to my chili because my chili recipe has enough flavor in it. My chili recipe has enough flavor in it. So you're going to do this 3 times with all the meats. You're going to cook the ground pork, then you drain it, you put it in the pot. Then you're going to cook the ground beef or the ground turkey. You drain it, you cook it in the pot. Then you're going to take the ground chicken, drain it, and cook it in the pot. And then you take your marinara sauce, about a half a cup, and you put it on top of it. Then you're going to take your can of beer, which we mentioned. After the 3 meats are in, you put 1 can of beer into the chili. You let that cook for about 20 to 30 minutes on slow cook, constantly stirring the chili so all the flavors are intertwined. All the flavors are combining. So you put the beer in, and then it's time to add the red kidney beans. Okay, I use Goya red kidney beans. They are big, they are plump, they are fresh. You put the red kidney beans in there. Then what do? You let that sit for about 20 minutes. This meal is going to take about 2 or 3 hours. You have to be patient. You're slow cooking it. What do I do then? Then I take my Frank's Red Hot. After I add the kidney beans, and I use about a half of the small bottle of the Frank's Red Hots. I'm not going to give you a precise. If you notice on the top left-hand corner here, you see the Frank's Red Hots. I'll use about half of that. Again, I'm not using any salt. I'm not using any pepper. My chili has enough flavoring that you don't need that. So you're going to add the red kidney beans. Then you're going to stir it. Okay, you're going to stir this. Look at all the colors in that chili. Look at all the colors in that chili. You cook it for about 35, 40 minutes. It's going to be thick. It's not going to be watery. This is not soup. This is not soup. Okay? And now you could have 2 or 3 different things on it. You could put cheese on the top, which I don't like, or you could put sour cream. You could put cheese on it or sour cream. I like the sour cream. Look how nice that looks. Look how nice that looks. Look at that. The chili on the deck, sour cream, little light beer if you want to have with it. This chili recipe is award winning. It's award winning. I came in second in a contest when I had my pizzeria restaurant. And let me just tell you folks, honestly, as you can see here with the little cheese on it, this chili is outstanding. And look at the thickness, right? It's not watery, it's not soupy. Mm, I'm telling you. Oh my God, so good. It's so good. This chili recipe you could use for tailgating, you could use in the winter, you could use for a summer barbecue. I got to tell you, people. I mean, seriously. Look at that. It is so good. Mm, mm. I wish you could taste this. I need a moment. I need a moment. That's how good it is. That's how good it is. And again, if anyone has any questions about the chili recipe, I'm going to go through the steps and just keep eating this chili. I'm going to go through the steps for you right now, just so you could see it, so you have a visual of the steps that need to take. I'm not going to talk during this. Just watch, look at it, learn, understand it, and you can play this back while you're cooking. All right, guys. I hope you learned. I hope you appreciate what we do there. That chili is. Yeah, I agree, Eleanor. Thank you. Sour cream is the way to go. Is the way to go. A lot of people listen. A lot of people use the cheese on the top. I'm not a big fan of cheese, but yeah, we try to. I mean, I make it a little spicy again, and again, you could tailor that if you don't want to use the jalapeno. Some people use green and red peppers. That's a way to do it as well. The green and red peppers. And again, if you have any questions at all regarding this chili recipe, feel free to hit me up on one of my numerous websites and numerous social media accounts. Again, you can follow me on Facebook. You could follow me Monte JP231 on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram, and you can follow me on TikTok, Monte Perez 231. Monte Perez 231. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. The ground turkey's healthier than the ground beef, and I just found that when I used to use ground beef, I was constantly draining it, and the chili just came out a little too greasy for my taste, a little too oily. Listen, I wanted to start off with the chili recipe because this is something that I make a couple times a year. I used to make it all the time when I had a restaurant in the fall and during the summer. And like I said, we're going to have 4 or 5 chefs come on who will probably do a much better job of their presentation and have much more complex recipes, but they're going to make it easy for you. So whether you're a former chef like I am or someone who doesn't cook that much, we'll make it as easy as possible for you. We'll make it as easy as possible for you to do this. When we come back, we are going to be talking the San Francisco 49ers. Listen, after a tough loss against the Green Bay Packers, the 49ers are looking to bounce back. They have a ton of injuries, but I really like Trey Sermon today. I think the rookie who played for Oklahoma and then Ohio State, I really think he's going to do a tremendous job running the ball today. And what's going on with George Kittle? What's going on with George Kittle? He has been a great job as a blocker, but they're not throwing him the ball that much. So we will get all that when Stephanie joins us. You're watching the full Monte Sports Show live on YouTube.
They hit big shots. Rico, Clippers have no identity.
By the way, I love that background right there. I love that background, that cooking background that I put up. I really like that. Okay, we're going to bring on Stephanie. She's going to talk San Francisco 49ers. Stephanie, thanks so much for joining the full Monte Sports Show. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be here. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Let's put your 49er background up there to make you feel comfortable. Okay, let's recap for a second. One of the things that shocked me the most when they played the Packers, and I'm a Packer fan, obviously you could see by my
Right.
background, is the fact that the Packers on both sides of the ball pushed a physical 49er team around. Jimmy Garoppolo got hit 10 times. That's the most he's ever been hit. And on offense, the Packers rushed for 100 yards. What's going on with the offensive and defensive lines here in San Francisco?
There's a couple of things. I mean, you're right. PFF had the Niners offensive line ranked at 9, and that was at the end of 2020, and they had a slew of injuries. And then, of course, 49ers revamped it this season in 2021. And even the backups, Aaron Banks, Jalen Moore, Jake Brendel, for example, I mean, they could be starters in their own right, and they're the backups for the 49ers. What I don't know exactly what's going on with the 49ers O-line is I definitely believe they're a top 10 offensive line, but they're not hitting on all cylinders. They're not working as a very strong unit altogether. And I think, as you state, they weren't moving as a unit last week. So hopefully we see more of that today, and hopefully it's more of a situation where they're all being put together and they need to see how they can do all together. So hopefully we'll do that today.
One of the things that really bothers me as a fantasy football guy is that you never know, other than Deebo Samuel and Kittle, you never know what running back's going to carry the ball. You never know. Like, is Shanahan a genius, or is he just a mad scientist? Because every week it's something different.
Yeah, I think normally it would have been Raheem Mostert would have been their number one running back. I mean, and that's obviously he's done, and that's nothing that, we can do about it. And then, unfortunately for Elijah Mitchell, when he went out, because he was looking really good, when he just stepped right in for Mostert. And so, but then when he got hurt, you had Trey Sermon finally get his, he had his, shot there. But
by the way, I loved him coming out of college.
Yeah.
He played for Oklahoma, then Ohio State. Rumor has it he got most of the reps in practice, and they're going against a team in Seattle that can't stop the run. I got to assume Trey Sermon's getting 20 to 25 touches today.
I think he's going to have a little bit more. I can tell you what Shanahan said in the interview was that he wasn't sure if he knew when to punch. Like he had a difficult time knowing, what tempo to carry the ball, when to run aggressively, and when to hit those holes, and when
Yeah,
to
can you
slow
explain that,
down. So,
Steph? Can you explain that to me? Because they're saying that he doesn't know how to change speeds. Like, is that
mhm,
the correct? Like, normally you see a hole and you go through it at full speed. They
right.
were saying like he doesn't know how to change gears.
Yeah, well, basically with Shanahan's system, and this is one of the complexities of it, and it's like, yes, it can be absolutely stunning for an offense, but it also can create problems if you don't know it super well, because all of a sudden the holes will just open up. So you have to know when to go and when to carry, and what tempo they're going. And it's honestly something that you learn. It's a process, and that took even Raheem Mostert took a while to process this. But once he got it, he was in and he was hitting those holes. So when to speed up, when to slow down, all those things are part of the tempo. This is a tempo offense. And yes, Shanahan is a genius, but you have to get everybody on the same page and wait for those holes to open up.
Right. So my point would be here is because the blocking scheme is so complex. Normally, a running back, and one of the things that Le'Veon Bell used to do when he was with Pittsburgh, he was so patient waiting for the hole to open up. I mean, so it's just like he's just being impatient, or is he not reading the holes correctly?
I think it might be a little bit of both. I think that you get excited out there, and it's your time, and you've got one shot at it, and you're not sure what's going on, and it's a brand new offense. It's the NFL. I think it's a little bit of both. But I mean, I am hopeful. I think he was picked early for a reason. I think that he absolutely can get it. I'm not sure if it's going to happen today, but today is a great opportunity for him because, as you said, Seattle doesn't have the best run defense.
Yeah, I mean, before we get into the breakdown of this game, I've never seen a fan base more torn between the starting quarterback and the backup. I had Trey Lance actually rated number 2 behind Trevor Lawrence
Oh,
in,
wow.
in my quarterback, and I think he's a phenomenal talent. Jimmy G hasn't played bad, but here's my thought process: when you go to the Super Bowl and lose, and then the organization moves up to draft a quarterback, you're telling me everything I need to know. You
Pretty
don't
much.
believe long term in Jimmy G, so why isn't Trey Lance getting more reps?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the $1 million question. I mean, the chatter to start Lance over Jimmy Garoppolo was basically it started the minute the Niners, turned the card to select Trey Lance at number 3 overall. I mean, Jimmy is a gamer. I mean, that's one thing that I have to give him is that he never gives up and he still inspires this roster. There's a lot of guys on the 49ers that have not given up on Jimmy Garoppolo. So I think that being said, I mean, you have to have a leader in your organization, and Jimmy G is definitely that guy. Yes, there are things he doesn't do very well, but I think even against sorry.
I like the little musical interlude there. Thank you for that.
I apologize. But I was going to say, even against Green Bay, I thought Garoppolo showed a lot of heart, even though he obviously fumbled that ball, which was awful. But he was able to get the Niners, a score with 37 seconds on the clock. He did his job. It may not have been beautiful.
He did his job. The
he did
defense
his
didn't
job.
come through. And listen,
Yeah,
you're
and I
supposed
think
to be an elite defense, right? This is what San Francisco with Bosa and all these guys. And I know Aaron Rodgers is one of the greatest of all time, but 37 seconds left, one timeout. It's not Jimmy G's fault.
I agree. I'm with you, and I think that being said, Jimmy does have a ceiling. And I think Lance he's definitely the future of the franchise. But I think this organization is not in a big hurry. Historically, rookie QBs who have to have a significant playing time their first seasons haven't really fared that well. And I think they realize he's the future, but they don't necessarily see a point in rushing him when they do have a capable signal caller. So when Lance is ready, he'll be ready, and we'll see him then. And I'm not in a rush.
Okay, so like, I'm just going to push back a little bit on here. I agree with you. You look at Steve Young, he sat behind Joe Montana. Tom Brady sat. Aaron Rodgers sat. But right now, I look at Justin Herbert, my boy. He's
I
just
know.
killing it. Kyler Murray, killing it. So my question is, okay, Jimmy G's playing well. He does enough to win. But why can't we see Trey Lance almost in the Taysom Hill role like they do in New Orleans, even when Drew Brees was there? Why isn't he getting 10 snaps a game?
To be honest, I mean, I don't think he's fared that great in some, even in his preseason games, he hasn't exactly been burning down, the ball, to make all these, spectacular plays. So there must be something there that Kyle Shanahan, the coaches see that he's not necessarily able to execute at that level. And one thing is once Shanahan breaks out the QB run, that's going to be something that's studied hard. So my thinking on this, and this is just me, but I think that they're trying to win as many games as they can with Jimmy Garoppolo and then bust out.
That's a good point. But we look at Kyle Shanahan as a running guru. So there's got to, if Taysom Hill, who's not as fast as Trey Lance, can get big time plays, especially in the red zone. We saw a glimpse of this of Trey Lance in the red zone. He's got to get him on the field. He's too talented to just be sitting and watching.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's coming. I think it's just a matter of time. And I think that they're timing it a certain way. I mean, in Kyle Shanahan's, head, this is a Super Bowl team. He's going all out 17 games into the playoffs, and he wants to win it.
Get up to 25% off select furniture styles or pay 0% interest for 72.
Sorry, is that me again? It's
I think it was.
The computers are like, I don't even know where the sound is coming from at this point.
No big deal. So let's talk about George Kittle, because on the surface, people in fantasy football land, he's got 15 catches in 3 games, no touchdown. But other than Rob Gronkowski, he's an offensive lineman. He is such a good blocker. It's scary. So he's doing his job.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I know that he's a letdown for a lot of fantasy teams, but I watch this man every week, and I know the impact he has on the team every single game. Kittle's a playmaker, and he's making blocks, and he's not only a threat in the passing game, but I believe that he's the best run blocking tight end in the league.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you talk about like enthusiasm and how things like work, I mean, he becomes the heart and soul of this team. And I think his effort is even contagious for the team. So when his teammates, see him throwing his body out there, leaving it all out there, it makes the entire team better. He's an integral part of this team. So I like what he's doing. I want him to keep doing what he's doing. I don't care about your fantasy.
Exactly. He's an extra offensive lineman. All right, want to talk about your wide receivers? My friend Jared, who's a diehard, been on the show numerous times, diehard San Francisco 49er fan. He kept telling me, you got to take Brandon Ayuk. He's going to be phenomenal. But it's been Deebo Samuel, 20 catches, 334 yards. Is he a legitimate number 1 and top 5 wide receiver in the NFL?
I thought about this a lot. I don't think it's hyperbole to say like he has carried the 49ers pass game this whole season. I mean, he remains the favorite target of Jimmy G. And even last year, Deebo, had that foot and hamstring issue. But if he didn't have that, I think we'd have seen him even break out earlier. So seeing him healthy out there this season, has made a huge impact on Niners football. And I think, he definitely has the ability to be one of the best in the league.
Yeah. All right, before we get into Brandon Ayuk, can we just talk for a second about how this team, I don't know if it's the grass they practice on, I don't know if it's the strength and conditioning coach, but I've never seen a team get injuries like this team, and they're not like a hamstring. They are debilitating injuries that knock guys out for the entire year. What the hell's going on in the water out there?
I'm serious. I joked around the other day that it was an ancient burial ground they built this place on.
Like the movie Poltergeist, they built it on an ancient burial ground. That's funny.
I think here's the thing. And this is something that I subscribe to. Attrition is part of the game, and football is dangerous, and football will get you hurt. And 99% of the guys out there are playing injured. It's just about how injured are you. So I think that, some of it's just luck. It takes a lot to get there. But I think that as long as they can manage their bench and manage, everything, that type of attrition, they're going to be okay. But, I think it's just something that happens, and it's not something that anyone can necessarily plan for. Nobody wants their tight end to go out, or, they're running, star running back, but you try to manage it, and hopefully you can get them back in time to make a, somewhat of an impact in the season.
Okay, so Brandon Ayuk, the talented wide receiver, 5 catches in 3 games, not getting it done. Is it he doesn't understand the offense? Is he in the doghouse? Or Jimmy G just doesn't have the confidence in him? He's too talented not to get 3, 4, 5 catches a game.
I agree with you. I agree with that. And Ayuk has definitely had a slow start, and he wasn't even targeted. I don't think week 1. And I think he only had like a catch or 2, like the second game, nothing too memorable to say the least. And so at some point, Ayuk is going to have to step it up. I mean, that's just the way it is. But I also know that this offense is pretty stingy and keeps it moving. So even players like the likes of George Kittle hasn't seen a lot of targets. And so if George Kittle's not going to get a lot of targets, and you're just somebody that's coming up, you better make your targets count, because you're not going to see as many with such a stingy offense. And, I'm not totally worried about Ayuk at this point. And I'll say at this point, at least not yet, because I think it's early. I think it's premature to make a definite decision. I think he will see it, but I would definitely give him to midseason, see what he can do, see if he can turn it around, and see if he can actually get acclimated to Kyle's offense.
Okay, that's definitely a fair point. Want to talk about this defense? Very talented. What do you like? What don't you like? Like I said, I had that game totally wrong. I thought the 49ers were just going to punch the Packers like they've done when they've been healthy the last 2 games. They got pushed around, and you don't see that. You don't see that with the San Francisco team.
I think individually, I think you're seeing some of the best in the defensive business. Unfortunately, it seems to me the trouble is that they don't yet work as a cohesive team, as a unit, like I said, with the offensive line, to kind of piggyback on that, instead of making these individual big plays, which there have been some pretty fantastic ones, they need to, work together and just stop the offense. And I think it's their biggest weakness so far is that they're coming in with a new defensive coordinator, losing Saleh. Many are all coming back from injury. There may be some rust there. I think it's just going to take some time. But, on paper, this defense should be really good.
I root for the Jets. I grew up in New York and New Jersey. I loved Robert Saleh, the hire. But offensively, the Jets are so anemic. It's almost like you got to question whether or not. And the thing is that your new defensive coordinator, all the players loved him. So it was a no-brainer for the hire. But I said this at the beginning when Saleh left. I said, I don't care how much they love this guy. Their defense is going to take a slight step back because Saleh was absolutely loved in that locker room.
Yeah, and it's not to say that they can't do things, but it might take them just a little bit longer to get back, into the groove,
Okay, let's talk about this matchup. Listen, I don't care what Seattle's record is. I don't care that they can't stop the run. I don't care that their offensive line is problems. As long as you have Russell Wilson out there, it's always a nightmare. Break this game down. Give us a few keys to this game.
The 49ers have every ability to win this game, but I do think it's going to be a dogfight. And I'm, as a 49er fan, I have no, rose-colored glasses here. Seattle has always played San Francisco very well, and they have a tremendous passing game. I mean, with Russell Wilson. So one of San Francisco's weaknesses too is their defensive backs.
Defensive backs. Oh, let me ask this: were you shocked that they didn't try to get a defensive back in the draft early in the first couple of rounds? Were you shocked?
I was hoping. I mean, I don't know if I was shocked, but I was definitely hoping. I figured they had some sort of plan there, but it didn't really come to fruition. I would have hoped that they would, or at least target free agency. But it didn't happen. So it's still a weakness for San Francisco. And that being said, that they're really putting a lot of pressure on the guys in the trenches so that it doesn't get that far, so that they put all that pressure up front. And I get that, that's kind of their game, but I think it could bite them if you get, like you get with Seattle, who has a really tremendous passing game. It could bite them, really bad.
Yeah.
So, I think the point is that what they're going to want to do is really win in the trenches, put as much pressure on Russ Wilson as possible. If they can do that and they can get to him and they can push him back and put some points on the board early on, I mean, they have the capability of winning, but a lot of things are going to have to go right because it's going to be a dogfight.
Stephanie, getting comments right. I'm impressed with the knowledge of your weekly guests. People seem to love you. My friend Jared texted me and said she can talk 49ers with the best of them. So tremendous job by you. And one of the reasons why I want to have you back on in a couple of weeks is just so I can say your screen name is Stephanie Mac. I can just say Return of the Mac. So, I've been waiting to use that corny phrase since you've been on. Okay. So one of the things we're seeing with teams that play Seattle now, because their run defense is so bad, is keep Russell off the field.
Yeah.
Minnesota did this. This is what they're trying to do. Why do you think Russell Wilson has had so much success and played so well against the 49ers? And I look at this division, there's no easy way out. The Rams, I think, are the best team in the NFL right now. Arizona could score with anyone. And now you look at Seattle that may be on take a step back, but Russell Wilson always plays good against you guys.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Russell Wilson is, that enigma. You never know what he's going to do, but he always has that capability of keeping the ball alive. And some of the things, at first I always thought it was a little bit of luck, and maybe it is, but you always know that there's always something that he could possibly do to keep it alive. And it's not something all quarterbacks have. So, if I were to have one quarterback, and I had, one down to go, I would give the ball to Russell Wilson. I think he has the ability not only to run the ball, but also to, light it up in the air. So, yeah, he's just one of those. He's an enigma, and Seattle's lucky to have him.
Okay, so give us a prediction and score.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be 24-21.
And you guys win.
Hopefully.
Okay. All right. Well, so I want to talk. No, listen. I think San Francisco wins today. I really do. Okay, but let's talk about the Golden State Warriors. You're finally getting healthy. I don't know if it's going to be a problem with Andrew Wiggins. He doesn't seem to want to get vaccinated. Whatever. But my thing is, I thought they were going to be super aggressive trading Andrew Wiggins this offseason. I thought they may go after Ben Simmons. I thought they may go after other players. Are you shocked that the Golden State Warriors, who when healthy have two of the top 10 players in the NBA, and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, a two-way player, are you shocked that they weren't aggressive this offseason?
I wish they would have been a little bit more aggressive with Wiggins, and now seeing how this whole vaccination thing has gone down, I have to be honest here though. I was really supportive of Andrew Wiggins. And he didn't put up the numbers that I think that is tantamount to the salary that he commands, but he was efficient on both sides of the ball, and I was okay with them seeing that through. But this vaccination issue puts the Warriors really in a rock and a hard place. I mean, obviously a trade would be a viable option for the Warriors now, but what team's going to now talk to you with more and more cities, following suit? I mean, Wiggins, doesn't become a player, a team is willing to spend some money on, and his salary alone is just, it's too much to have him not play half the season, so he's looking to miss 43 home games, and in more cities where vaccination is required. So there's not going to be a lot of teams knocking on the door to acquire him. It's really an unfortunate situation, because I think the Warriors, with Andrew Wiggins healthy, playing, vaccinated Wiggins, would have been a really formidable team. So
I think he's in the perfect role there, because he's the third or fourth scoring option. He doesn't, when he's the number 2 or number 1 guy, he's not efficient. One of the things about Steph Curry is he's the quietest superstar. And what I mean by that is he'll let Klay Thompson carry the team for 2-3 quarters. He doesn't care. When Kevin Durant was there, he'll give him the big shot. He doesn't shy away from it. But in my opening, I do an opening every show. It's the good, the bad, and the funny. And the good was 95% of NBA players are vaccinated. So, and Draymond Green, who's come out, he's been vaccinated. He said that it's a political thing. I'm like, no, it's really a doctor and science thing. And one of the things that shocks me all the time, Carson Wentz of the Eagles just came out and said, I trust the doctors with my ankle. Okay, well, we have the best doctors. You trust the doctors, but you don't trust them when they say, hey, it's safer to get the vaccine. And you bring up a good point. What is Andrew Wiggins going to do? Because I got to be honest with you. If I'm a player and I'm vaccinated and we're winning and then I don't know if I want this guy going out. We know NBA players do enjoy the nightlife. I don't want this guy putting my team, and forget about the healthy players. What about the older coaches? What about the trainers? What about the people who work in the building, who clean the locker rooms, who wash your clothes, that you interact with every day? So this is going to be a problem for him.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing that I get with sports, and I'm going to be really honest with you, is the New York Yankees, they don't allow beards on their team. They don't like facial hair, right? And, it's your right not to have facial hair, I guess, but this is just their rule. So the way I'm saying is if you want to play for the New York Yankees, you shave your beard. I don't know, at some point, you're going to do what it takes for the team. And it may not make sense to you. I'm not saying, I obviously am vaccinated and believe in science, and I believe that it's a good thing to do, a good way to be. But even if he doesn't, at some point you have to do it for your team and you have to believe in that concept. So maybe it is your right. Maybe it is political. Throw that all out the window. This is just something you need to do for your team at the end of the day. And you make $350,000 a game. I think it should be worth it to you at that point.
Well, and I will say this again. If you don't want to do it, one of the things, I'm a former coach. One of the things that you establish rules, right? You just said it. Wade Boggs came to the Yankees. He had to shave off his beard from Boston. He knew it. These are rules. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. Go get a job somewhere else. You're not going to get paid $350,000 every time you show up.
I think it's a real simple concept. I was a D1 athlete. There was certain things I didn't love, but you do it because those are the rules, and that's just you do it for the bigger team, the bigger aspect of sport. There's got to be some sort of thing there, and to be honest, I've lost all sympathy at this point for him. So I just wish he would just do it.
Okay, so if this team is healthy, what is the ceiling? You look at the Western Conference with Portland. Dallas is going to be better. The Lakers, obviously, they're older. They have a ton of talent. The Clippers, as long as Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are there, are going to be a formidable team. So what is the ceiling for this? What do we expect for Klay Thompson, who, when healthy, is probably one of the best two-way players in the NBA, totally underrated? How good can this team be?
I think they can be good. We saw it even last year when they were all banged up except for Steph and Wiggins was out, and we saw basically the G League team with Steph Curry out there, and they were still in the playoff, one away to, buy in. So they almost even made it to the playoffs. So, that all things considered, and that wasn't something that any Warriors fan was expecting to go that far. And they came very close to beating the Lakers in that play-in. So, that being said, I always have faith in this team. I have faith in Steph. When they get hot, it can be pretty amazing. So if Klay Thompson is back, I don't think we're going to see as much of a defensive, monster that he can be on defense. And I think, like you said, he's very much underrated. But I think that they can at least make it into the playoffs, maybe get to, the trade deadline and see what they can do there. That's, to me, what I see.
It's amazing because one of the very first articles I wrote, this is before they won a championship, and I was just writing part-time. I said, Steph Curry's the best shooter I've ever seen. And the reason why I said that is because, and I got criticized, but thank God this website at the time, Dub Nation, saw my article and they put it on their website. And you who follow them more than I do can either agree or disagree. When you think of great shooters, his coach, Steve Kerr, he was a catch and shoot guy. Reggie Miller, catch and shoot guy. Ray Allen, catch and shoot guy. Steph Curry can shoot a three off the dribble or coming off a screen. He has the quickest release I've ever seen, and it's not even close. He's the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA.
Yeah, I've followed this team and I've covered this team as well with Golden State, and he's the only superstar in my era. I mean, even LeBron James, who's, commands a lot of attention, but you can go to like an away stadium, and people are just lining up just to see him. And he can like make a stadium just totally quiet and just roar. And I've just never seen that in, when I was little, I remember Michael Jordan with the slam dunk. And I always say, what Michael Jordan did for the slam dunk, Steph Curry has done for the 3-point shot. It's that amazing. Take your breath away. Just so fun. And that's what we love about sports. So I don't know how you can't be a Steph fan. He's amazing.
No, he's great. And Greg brings up a good point here. He says they'll be 5th or 7th in the West. Is that doable?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that at this juncture, we're just trying to get in. And once you're in the playoffs, it's a whole new game. I think the Warriors learned a valuable lesson in that 73 game winning season was that it's not about how you get there. It's about getting there and getting there as healthy as you can and making a difference and exploding during the playoffs. So I think that they want to manage their time a little bit and manage their health just to make sure they're there. So as long as that they're in, I think that it doesn't really matter where they're at.
I said this at the time. The worst thing that they did was take that record because they were exhausted in the NBA Finals.
It was a fun season.
It was a great season. But let's be honest. If they won 70 games and won the title, it would have been much better. So
100%. Yeah.
Steph, we loved having you on. Once I start doing my NBA shows, we'd love to have you on and come talk Golden State Warriors. How can we follow you? How can we support your career?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at SoCallySteph, and you can find me on Instagram and also Facebook. So yes, Stephanie McCarroll. Stephanie Mac is my nickname, so it's just short for McCarroll.
Okay, we will definitely have you on in a few weeks, and we will be bringing up the return of the Mac. So I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for getting up so early, and we'll see you in a few weeks. Thanks so much.
All right, have a good day.
Take care. That was Stephanie Mac. Does a tremendous job covering the Warriors, covering the San Francisco 49ers. Wanted to have her on. I have Jared on all the time talking 49ers, but, he has 2 kids now, obviously super busy. Someone who's super busy too, but always comes on because, let's face it, his son would rather spend time with his mom than him. That is Rico Graziano. Rico, how are you today?
I'm good. My link wasn't working. I thought I got fired.
No.
I thought I was like, that was it.
You're under contract at least until the last Super Bowl show. Next year, we will reevaluate, what you have been contributing to the show. Rico, so you know how Mike from Pittsburgh always criticizes you, always takes jabs at you? He said to me, Monte, great show, love it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but why does your headset always look like it's falling off? And I'm like, dude, do you see the size of my head? I was born a Pez dispenser. I was 9 pounds at birth, 7 pounds was head. So now he's criticizing my headset and my microphone.
Well, it does look like it's going to slip off at any second. And you need to let the hair come in. I know you look good with a shaved head, but you need to let the little fro catch it so it doesn't slide anywhere.
The little fro. Rico, I'm putting your
good.
Pittsburgh Steeler background up there, okay? Because you need all the help you can get with the Steeler team. But first, want to talk about a few things
1 and
here.
2. Let's not get so are the Seattle Seahawks. Nobody's putting them in the ground.
There's a big difference. Seattle Seahawks have a quarterback who can throw it 70 yards. Your quarterback can't throw it 17.
I can't even argue with that. He looks terrible.
Okay,
But
speaking
he
of
looked
that,
terrible for 2 games. He's looked terrible throughout his career for a game here and a game there. So we can't really,
yeah, but Rico, I
just hang
really
him up yet.
believe that once he got that elbow surgery, because Big Ben always had an arm. That's where he got the nick Big Ben, cannon of an arm. Ever since his elbow surgery, he's been a shot fighter. Talk about the status of him. Now he has a pectoral issue. Talk about TJ Watt. These are the 2 arguably most important pieces on offense and defense. What is Pittsburgh Nation saying about this?
Well, everybody outside, even Pittsburgh fans like me, we're really discouraged. We see what everybody else is seeing, but I'm a little bit more on the optimistic side. I think that he's going to be fine. I mean, when I say I think he's going to be fine, I think he's going to have to do his little dunk and the little dunk passes that he's been doing. He has to go long every once in a while, but he's had games throughout his career, like I've said, where he's looked just as bad as he did the other day against Cincinnati. It's just such a big deal because it's Cincinnati, and nobody wants to give Cincinnati any credit for being anything but just known as a bad team.
They're better than I thought. They're
a lot better than people think they are, and a lot's going to be said about this week. And the problem is that you really don't sit them. You can't, and when you talk about the contract, he took such a low number. Like Pittsburgh was kind of like, hey man, we're good. We can't really afford you. We need the money for TJ and other guys. And he kept lowering his contract to where he was worth the money. He's only getting like $13-14 million this year, which for an elite quarterback, that's, Taysom Hill is a backup and he's getting $16 million.
That's fair enough.
So
Rico,
it was tough. It was tough to shake him off, to get rid of him. But I think he'll come back. I think he'll bounce back this week. I don't think he's going to fold. It might be one of those things with him. He's usually either really good at home for a season or really bad at home.
Okay,
you know what I'm saying? I just think.
Listen, I think he's a shot fighter. I don't think he's a top 15 quarterback. Period.
No, top 15. No, we're just hoping he's in the top 20.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this. Rico lives in a 22 room house mansion. People don't know this, and they're asking people are asking me, is that yours or did Melissa pick up that Marilyn Monroe picture behind you? And what studio are you in?
Actually, yeah, what studio? I'm in the living room studio, the dining room studio, not living room studio.
Who picked that Marilyn Monroe picture?
Actually, I did. It's actually Marilyn Monroe's first time ever on a set. If you can read it, it says her role is the girl. She no lines. It was the first time ever on set. So now you can see why she became so famous. If that's your day one on your first day of work ever. They were like, whoever this girl is, just keep a camera on her.
So Rico, you didn't see the beginning of the show, but I revealed my famous chili recipe, and I gave it to people because we're doing sports, comedy, and food. And now, of course, the comments are all coming. Ask Rico to make his famous mozzarella. Rico has post-traumatic stress disorder during the holidays because he used to spend 75 hours a week making fresh mozzarella.
Oh my God. I've made more mozzarella. We used to make in one day I used to personally make in one day on Christmas Eve over 150, 200 pounds of mozzarella. All day I'd be there from morning. Like when I say morning, I'm talking 5:30. When I say tonight, I'm talking like 11 o'clock at night, to where I would have to go sit in the office with my hands wrapped in towels because they'd get when they're in the water too long, and we'd have to let them almost dry out. It was, it was an experience. I'm glad I did it, but it's definitely something I want to keep behind me.
Rico, what you did? You worked more on Christmas Eve than you did all year, so it was phenomenal for you to put in that time. And how about this? What is this, Rico? Ask Rico or Rosa to make their famous. What is that?
Oranginis. Those were it's a rice ball. It's a fried rice ball with meat, a little bit of peas, some sauce, and some mozzarella cheese in the middle. And
Did
it's
you
a
do
ball.
that as well?
What's that?
You used to do that as well?
Yes. When I moved to California, me and my sister had a food truck for a few years.
Yes, I remember that. You were even on some TV special too.
Yeah. We did some stuff on Food Network, Cooking Network, and a few different shows here and there we did.
How many hours was it on the food truck? Was that brutal?
That wasn't as brutal as the store because the food truck you would actually we started at like 10 o'clock. I mean, you had to be there at 8 for prep, but we were done by 5. So it was by the time we were wrapped out, it was 6. So you're talking 8 to 6. When you have your own deli, like in Jersey, like the norm was 7 to 7. That was, I didn't know till I was in Pittsburgh one day when I was talking to Melissa's father that normal people work 8-hour days. I did not know. I always thought 12 hours was the norm. Like I thought I only worked a little past.
Let's face it, your mom lived at the deli, your dad construction up at dawn, worked till 7, 8 at night. They were grinders. I mean, that's what they do.
That's it. We used to our dinner was directly to sundown. Like whenever the sun went down is when my father came home, and that's when we had dinner. So in the summer we were eating at 8 o'clock at night, 8:30.
Because the sun stays longer.
The sun stays out longer.
I knew that. I'm not even a farmer.
He worked. Yeah, he's not even a farmer, and he loved. So in the winter we ate at 4 o'clock.
All right. So if the Steelers don't make the playoffs, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record, but there's kind of rumblings about, hey, maybe it's time for a change. You never want to see a coach, on the sideline unless you're Bill Belichick, more than 7, 8, 9, 10 years, because players tune him out. I still think the players love him, but is there rumblings in Pittsburgh? Maybe it's time for a change.
Anything of the rumblings, of the big rumblings about Pittsburgh falling apart and Mike Tomlin are coming from outside of Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, he's, you remember Marv Lewis? Isn't Marv Lewis the coach of the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yes, never won a playoff game.
Never won a playoff game, but he got them to the playoffs every year.
Right.
So he got them to the playoffs. They fired him, and since then they've yet to have a season above 500. Above 20% or whatever, above 5 wins since him. So
yeah, but Rico, all due respect, Cincinnati is not Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, it's championship or bust. If you're starting to lower the tier to make the playoffs, then it's time for a change, because there are only a few organizations where if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, it's a failure of a year. So you're lowering the expectations now.
Well, I'm not lowering the expectations. I'm just saying that, you got to remember there's some super teams out there, and Pittsburgh's definitely up there in the sense of with their elite defense when they're healthy. This year as a fantasy player, I've never seen the injury bug happening so much. And it's just, guys are in and out every week. I mean, you see it. I'm sure you play fantasy football. You see the reports, and that's just offensive side of the ball. Defensive side of the ball is as bad, if not worse, of guys just not playing. I mean, there was last week against Cincinnati, we were missing 5 defensive starters.
Wow,
5.
and listen,
you know what I'm saying? So it was like Minka and Cam Hayward against everybody else.
Hayward is just you just pencil him in. The guy's always there. He's rocking.
Yeah.
Greg
in his 30s, right up the middle of the gut all day.
Greg brings up a great point. At 1 and 2 fantasy, Rico, you need to put 12-hour a day in to beat me.
I had somebody actually that watches the show. A friend of mine was like, he really thinks he's better than you at fantasy football. I said, well, he's beating me in the daily fantasy. He's like, but that doesn't count. He's like, that's just luck. And I was like, it's not luck. I said, there's people. He's like, it's luck. It's luck. He was arguing that it's a lot of luck.
Okay, but more. Rico, I've won 2 years in a row, and I'm not. You would admit.
I know. Last year was a beating. Last year was like 3 weeks left, and I was done.
You would admit you are luckier than me in life. You would admit that.
Maybe.
Yeah. Everything you touch turns.
I don't know. You're pretty lucky yourself sometimes. You found a friend like me. That's pretty lucky.
It's always about you, isn't it, Rico?
It always circles back home.
I'm going to make this about me. Okay. I told you Justin Herbert would be Rookie of the Year. I said that Justin Herbert is going to be the best quarterback in the AFC. 6-1 in his last 7 games. Since week 2 of last year, number 1 in completions, 2nd in 300-yard games, 3rd in passing yards. Don't tell me if you're starting a team, this guy is not the best quarterback in the AFC.
He is so far from the best quarterback in the AFC. I can just throw 3 names without I don't even have to look at the slew of quarterbacks in the AFC besides saying, let's start off with Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, those two right off the bat. I mean, you're saying he's the best in the AFC. He's not. He's a top 5, and you're going on a 3-week a 3-week sample size. There's
Okay,
a long season. You got to remember, you said it yourself. He's only played 6 games. I mean, started 6 games.
Hold on. He started all of last year. I'm going to repeat this so you understand what I'm saying. He's 6-1 in his last 7 games. Since week 2 of last year, number 1 in completions, 2nd in 300-yard games, 3rd in passing yards. This dude does it all. He outgunned Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. We're talking about an 18-game sample size. He's in the top 2 and 3 in every category.
Again,
with defensive coaches.
You gotta. He's great. He's doing really well. He's a sophomore in the NFL. There's just it's no quarterback. He's got a great run going, and I can't argue. But to say that he's the best quarterback in the AFC, I mean, Josh Allen.
I'm going to say
week
this again.
3. It's week 3. If we're going on a sample size, that expands it to last year, now you're talking. He's still top 5.
He's in the top 3 in every category from last year. And I will say this, including Levi. After 5 games, we were crowning Kyler Murray as an elite quarterback. We were crowning Patrick Mahomes as the greatest ever. This guy's kicking ass for 18 games, and people don't give him credit. He's in the top 3 in every category.
Well, he's in the top 3 of every category because last year they were losing all the time. When you're losing all the time, you're throwing the ball. Listen, if Tom Brady, let's say stat-wise, throughout his career, has he been great? No, he hasn't been great, but they won all the time. He has never been.
Lost,
Tom Brady, stat-wise,
fantasy-wise.
Tom Brady, stat-wise, fantasy-wise, throughout most of his career, has never been a top 10 quarterback. Yet he has 10 rings. He's got almost 10 rings on his fingers. That's actually a cool picture of them getting all psyched on him. I'm
just going to leave that there. You're saying things that don't make sense. We labeled Kyler Murray as an elite quarterback right away. We labeled
this weed. I don't know if you have a gerbil in your pocket. This weed does not include me and you. We is you and somebody else who's there. I don't know where you're at. You and the plant behind you. I don't know. You. So
you're saying Justin Herbert. You're saying he's just an average quarterback.
No, he's above average. He's really good. I'm saying that. I'm not saying he's the best.
He's an elite quarterback.
Well, okay. All right. Super Bowl. You're in the Super Bowl. Who do you want quarterbacking? You want Herbert?
Don't say Patrick Mahomes.
Or you want Josh Allen?
Hold on.
And those are just 3. I haven't even gotten into the
I'll answer that question. Patrick Mahomes got outplayed until the 4th quarter against San Francisco by Jimmy Garoppolo. And he was awful last year.
Last year he was awful, but he had no offensive line. Going to the playoff games leading up to it, he literally walked his team. The
Chargers' offensive line is ranked like 25th. They have one guy in Rashawn Slater who hasn't allowed a sack in 100, but they're not an elite offensive line.
No, they're not an elite offensive line.
I'm just going to leave this here the rest of the show. I might have a Justin Herbert half-hour talking point every week from now on.
We should, because you know what? Next week, who are they playing again today?
The Raiders, Monday night.
That's right. I'm going to the game. Oh my God, that's so stupid. I'm so.
Are you real? What?
Yeah, I'm going to the game. My sister's boyfriend was like, "Hey, do you want to go to the game?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
You're going to SoFi Stadium to see my Chargers against the hated Raiders.
Matter of fact, I'm so confident the Raiders are going to win. I'm going to start betting money on them right now. The only reason I say that is because everybody thinks San Diego is going to blow them out. That's the only reason. Everybody. There's not a person.
No. I first of all,
I
love how you still call them San Diego. But
I know because I can't get it out of my head.
Have you been to SoFi Stadium?
No, I've driven by it. I haven't been to it yet. No.
And you're going for probably the best Monday night game of the year.
Well, they're bad. Well, I don't know about the year. The Raiders. Let's not call the Raiders or Los Angeles Chargers the best Monday night game of the year.
Right now it is.
Well, up to 3 weeks in, yeah, of course. But I can't say that. I'm not going to.
We are not going to agree with that.
That's a strong statement on week 3.
I may even personally bet you on that Raider Charger game. I may even personally bet you on that.
No. I think that's a tough game to even bet. It's a crazy game to bet. You're only betting it because it's Monday night. But if it was a Sunday game, I would have touched that game with a 6-foot pole.
Okay, it's by far obvious that this guy is clear and above the best wide receiver. It's not even close. Am I wrong here?
I want to say you're wrong, and because I just love to argue with you and go against you and everything. But he is such a beast. Like you know what? Like Michael Thomas in his prime would cross the middle, catch the ball. Now, if people don't know, a lot of wide receivers aren't fond, especially outside wide receivers, of crossing the middle because they get really hit hard. They get hammered, when they catch the ball. But he's one of those guys like Michael Thomas that when they're crossing the middle, not only do they want to catch the ball, they want to hit. They want to knock somebody out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So when you see him on the field, he's a man amongst boys. It's hard to argue with anything when it comes to him. Yards after catch. His hands are they're like cotton. He just catches them. They
double team him, and he always gets open. Like Tyreek Hill has 3 catches. Tyreek Hill has been terrible over the last 3 games, 2 games. He's been terrible, and this guy's still catching it. Tyreek Hill, I think, had 12 catches, 197 yards against the Browns. I don't think he's had 10 catches in the last couple of games. And I got to agree with this comment right here. Herbert versus Carr on Monday night, that's going to be wild.
Well, Carr, and that's only going on the new Carr sample size because Carr, this year's Carr has been tossing that ball. But again, he's been putting those positions out of where he's had to throw the ball.
All right, Rico, we got about 10 minutes left. Let's blast through this. This is not a prediction for you, but I'm a Packer fan. You're a Steeler fan. This is not a game I gave you to pick, but I got the Packers winning here about 34-23.
I got Pittsburgh at least staying within the 6.5.
But you don't think they're going to win outright?
I want them to win outright, but I think that they'll stay within the 6.5. I think their team's coming out. As long as Ben doesn't lose the game, we win.
Okay.
The spread. We win the spread.
The spread. Okay. You are 2-1 on the year. Let's get right to it. Carolina Panthers, my sleeper team, are 3-0. They're without McCaffrey. They don't have Horn. The Cowboys should be 3-0. They outplayed Tampa, and they lost. Sam Darnold has been off to a great start. I don't like the line here if I'm a Cowboy fan. It's 4.5.
I think it's an easy blowout. I think the Cowboys they're peak. They're not peaking, but they're on their way to peaking, which might be not good because they might peak too early. And I think Carolina's had a nice, it's been cute. I think they're gonna get knocked back to the ground. I think Sam Darnold's, they're gonna be all over him. Their defense is better. I'm all over the Cowboys. I'm going to 32-13.
Wow.
Easy.
Wow.
Yeah, Carolina. They're a tough team when they have McCaffrey, but their defense is just not. They look like they've been playing good on paper, but you won't on the field. They've just been. No, I like the Cowboys a lot in this game.
All right, taking 32-13. I hope my Carolina Panthers win and go 4-0. All right, let's bring up to the next game, Rico. So, would you have a different mindset if Christian McCaffrey was playing?
No. I just wish Christian McCaffrey was playing. I wouldn't call it a blowout if he was playing. They're going to cover the spread and it's going to be an easy win, but I wouldn't call it a blowout.
Okay, let's move to the second game. For those of you who tune in on Monday night, Marie, my co-host, she covers the Vikings. Brad Ward covers the Browns. So those guys are going to be, one's going to be very happy. One's going to be very upset. The Vikings should be 3-0. Think about this. Kirk Cousins, 17 games. We like to mock Kirk Cousins. 17 straight games with a passer rating of a 90 passer rating. Kevin Stefanski spent 14 years on the sideline in Minnesota as an assistant. He's now the head coach of the Browns. Rico, break this game down.
Well, to break this game down, it's very difficult for me because I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield or the Cleveland Browns, as you know, as a Steeler fan. But I just don't. I'm not buying into them. I just can't. It might be in my DNA of who I am, of always watching them just not be a good team. It's been really hard, and I think it's Minnesota's week. Their week of. I think that Kirk Cousins is going to have a game today, and I think that they're going to just. I like Minnesota 28-24 covering. So I'm not high on Minnesota, and I wouldn't bet this game personally because I know my feelings towards the Browns. It's like the Steeler feelings, but I like Minnesota in this game. I do. I think that it's they're a better team than their record suggests.
Okay, Rico, let me throw this out there. If you knew Rico 5 years ago and you knew Rico now, he's become a much calmer, much more giving person, much more friendly. You've evolved. You've
All right.
evolved.
All right, if
How
you
are
say
you
so.
not evolving?
I better fix that.
How have you not evolved and just say, hey, the Cleveland Browns are a good team? Your whole life has been about evolving. I know you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but the Cleveland Browns are damn good.
Again, I just don't see that. You know what it is? I just don't. It's still so hard. They got a good team on paper. I think that I have no faith. And it comes down to, you're right. I should evolve a little bit because at the end of the day, Baker Mayfield's not a good quarterback, and I guess a quarterback doesn't make your team. But yet, as a Steeler fan, I put a lot of, he's definitely at this moment 3 games in a better quarterback than Big Ben is. So
you like Minnesota?
I still like Minnesota in this game, but again, I wouldn't follow my lead just because I'm a little.
Okay, final one. 1-2 Seattle at the 2-1 49ers. 49ers are a 3-point favorite. I mean, listen, Seattle's defense is atrocious. They can't stop the run. Teams are just running the ball. If you play daily fantasy football, you might want to take Trey Sermon this week, the running back for the 49ers. He got full 100% reps and almost 100% reps as the number 1 running back. How do you feel about this game?
They always play each other tough, these two teams. I don't care how bad a defense is or how bad one of the offenses are throughout the years. These two teams go into a dogfight, and it's always a good game. I can't remember the last time I saw a San Francisco 49er game that wasn't a fun game to watch. I like Seattle in this game because I think Russell Wilson's going to step up a little bit, and I think,
Wow, so you're taking the Seahawks.
I'm taking the Seahawks, and it's also one of those things I feel this about the defense. Like some weeks, defense just play really good, and it's one of those things that like everybody and their mother had Cincinnati defense against the Jaguars, and look what happened.
By the way, I'm gonna talk about this in the close. Did you see Urban Meyer trending last night?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll just share this with you. So there's Urban Meyer with his wife on the left. There's Urban Meyer at a Jacksonville bar with someone who appears to be 25 years younger than him, dancing on him and grinding him in a Jacksonville bar. This is a guy who, preaches God, family, sanctity of marriage, out with a 25-year-old at a bar. Not his wife.
Sometimes God gives you some gifts. So who is he to be pushing them away?
You know what? I gave you a compliment.
Maybe he was asking her to leave. Maybe he was just giving her like, "Excuse me."
No. I've seen the video. I've seen the video. I gave you a compliment. I gave you a compliment before about you evolving, but the degenerate Rico always comes out at least once during the show. All right,
Rico.
One
of those guys that when God gives a gift, it's hard to push it away.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm sure that explanation would fly with Melissa.
I would never. First, I would never be in a bar. I'm a grown ass man. Hanging out with a bunch of 20. If I was in a bar and there was 25-year-olds, I would leave. I would just leave.
Not just that. Here's the thing. Like, you're 0-4, right? You know how much I work and prepare. I mean, I'm posting stuff on TikTok now. I'm tagging. Are you getting annoyed with all my tags, by the way?
No, I love them. I love watching your stuff. I'm very entertained by you. Like you entertain me. I show my friends. I'm like, you got to see this one's actually really, really funny. There's certain ones. And how about your parents? Are they the best or what?
Oh, the dancing video. Yeah.
They're the best. 60
You know
years.
what's so funny? We practiced that video for about 15 minutes. And then as soon as the camera went on, they just did their own thing. It's like how you'll tell your son, hey, this is what you got to do for the play, and then the lights come on, and then they just do their own thing.
Well, it's kind of like I've been out when I hung out with your sister back in a while. The last time we went out to a club, I remember the music came on, and she just couldn't not dance. It was like in her blood. It was like in her DNA. Like I just saw it, and it was so funny because it was like she was just standing there, and she just was dancing. Like she couldn't stop dancing. So once you put music on, they don't hear anything anymore. They just start dancing your family.
It's the Latino heat, Rico. It's the Latino heat that we have.
I know.
Okay, so you're 1-2. I have the first quarterback. For those who don't know, Rico and I are betting a $200 gift card or Venmo. If I win, it'll take Rico like 7 weeks to pay me like he did last year. So What's the matter? Did you lose something?
Nothing. I just realized I may have picked my quarterback twice.
Okay. Well, I'm taking Josh Allen against Houston. That is my pick. And who are you taking?
Did I take Hurts already? Jalen Hurts?
No, you did not.
Okay, I'll take Jalen Hurts today.
You're taking the Philadelphia quarterback.
I thought I didn't have a backup because I was just like, I knew you weren't taking him.
Okay, who's your wide receiver?
Derek. Oh, we're going wide receiver first. Oh, I'm gonna go what everybody's calling the top dog to this week, Cooper Kupp.
Oh, that's terrible. I was gonna take him.
That's everybody. He's not gonna have a great game because everybody wants him today.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go with Devontae Adams. Obviously, on a bad game, he'll get you 8 catches. So I'm taking Adams.
I'm gonna go with Stephon Diggs.
That kind of limits me, Rico, because of Diggs.
The one guy that you want has not been playing well.
But if I would have taken Diggs, you would have taken Adams, right?
Most likely, I would have taken Adams.
Okay, I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill, and here's why. I think they're going to do end-arounds with him. I think they're going to do wide receiver screens. Everyone's talking about him not getting involved. He's got to get involved. Okay, so I'm going to go with Derrick Henry, and just because Julio Jones is not playing and A.J. Brown is not playing, they're playing the Jets.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. You picked first. I picked second. We jumped running backs and went to wide receivers, which we never do. Usually running backs go first.
Is that true?
Yeah, we never go wide receiver.
All right, let's stop this right here. Okay, pick your running back.
Well, Derrick Henry. That's why I said Derrick Henry.
We'll do this again. Okay, so I'm going to go with, I'm going to have to go with Kamara. I'll go with Kamara from New Orleans.
I was going to go with Cook, but I'm going to go. This is a shot that I'm going to go for, and I really think it's going to work. I'm going to go with Najee Harris today.
Okay.
Because Dalvin Cook was the easy choice, but I feel like, on rankings this weekend, they're right next. They're 1-2. They're right next to each other.
I really like Austin Eckler just because he catches the ball and he runs. But something's telling me I got to go with Nick Chubb in Minnesota. I think they're going to want to run the ball, so I'm going to go with Chubb. Okay, so then we're going to go back to wide receivers. So I'm going to go with Cooper Kupp.
You're going to go with Cooper Kupp. Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to go with Devontae Adams.
Okay, and I'm going to take Diggs, so I got Josh Allen and Diggs.
Well, then I'll go with Tyreek Hill because I think they're going to do some end around.
You can't
and
use my
everybody's talking
me.
about it, and it looks like he needs to get involved in the offense, which I don't really believe that much, but I'm going to.
Rico, how's your boy doing, Mark Andrews, by the way?
My boy, how's every weekend, you know what? My friendship with you dwindles as Kyle Pitts does worse. Just let you know, every week I say, F Monte for making me. You talked me into Kyle Pitts like
Rico,
he was the next coming.
You talked me into James Robinson, who's had 1 touchdown all year. He's terrible.
Did you just see what he did this week? He got 20 points.
Okay, but 1 game.
Yeah, but he's back now. He's back. Carlos Hyde is hurt. The DJ Chark is hurt. He's gonna be back in the pit. He's back.
Okay. All right. Who are you taking for tight end?
I'm gonna go with. You see that? This is where I'm stuck now because I
got to take Waller here.
Waller, I have to because I can't take Kelsey because Kelsey's going to be, I guess, no. Oh, wait. Hold on a second. Waller, I'll be at that game, so I'm going to have to cheer for Waller. All right, I'll take Waller just because I'm going to the game.
You have to take Waller because you can't take Kelsey and Hill. It's just taken away.
I've doubled up before. I have no problem.
All right, I'm taking Travis Kelsey.
I mean, look at Urban Meyer. He's doubling up.
It's so bad, Rico. You know what?
It's so bad. That picture's so bad because she really looks like.
There's a video. There's a video of her grinding on him and him grabbing her. And here's my thing: why is it always the Christian, conservative, pro-life, man of God who's always cheating?
Again, God's gifts can't turn away.
You know what? I hope Melissa doesn't watch this show.
The fact that that you think you know, but I guess they used to do that in college. I guess he was okay to do that in college.
I will say this:
His wife is beautiful. His wife's beautiful. I don't even know why he would even.
It has nothing to do with that. I don't care if you have an open marriage. I don't care what you do. But don't preach sanctity of marriage. It's God, football, Florida Gators, Jacksonville, Ohio State. You're a fraud, dude. That's it. He's a fraud. All right, Rico, take pictures of the game. I'm so jealous. By the way, the Chargers win 38-30.
Chargers win 38-30.
Over the Raiders.
You and everybody else thinks the Chargers. I think the Raiders are going to come out and shock the world. People are going to think the Raiders are for real after this week, which they're not, but they're going to think they are.
They're not. All right, Rico. We'll see you next week. Thanks so
right,
much.
Love you guys. I'll see you
later.
Great
job. Great job by Rico Graziano. Okay, so we're just going to close real quick with the show. Terrible job by Mario Cristobal. This guy just wants to run the ball up the middle. They have a plethora of wide receivers. They don't throw any wide receiver screens. They don't do any reverses. Their quarterback just runs. No accuracy. Terrible play calling throughout the game. He needs to be fired. He needs to be fired. This guy is coaching. He wants to run the ball 75 times a game in an offense that has elite wide receivers, and they never get any burn. Great recruiter, terrible head coach. You know I got duck gear all over the place. Mario Cristobal sucks as a game manager. End of story. They made so many bad play calls late in the game and inside the red zone. Just once, I'd like to see a wide receiver screen. Use some of your talented skill position players to do something other than run the ball up the middle 95 times a game. Mario Cristobal is coaching like it's 1950. And finally, we've talked about this. Look, Urban Meyer, I know people who've worked for him. I know people who've covered him. He's a terrible human being. I don't care that he's cheating on his wife. That's between them. I don't care about that. Should he do it? Who knows? Maybe she doesn't want to be with him anymore. I don't know. But what I'm saying is your team is 0-4. And it's just bad optics that you're at a bar after your team lost again this week, hooking up with a woman 25 years younger than you. Again, I don't care about the woman. I don't care that he does it. That's between him and his wife. They may have an agreement. Who knows? What the hell are you doing at a bar? If my team was 0-4, and I was away from my wife, I'd be in the film room watching. I'd be miserable until we got a win. This is why when you pay these coaches a colossal amount of money and things go south, it's like they don't care. And this is why fans get so upset, because fans care more. I don't give a rat's ass about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know Urban Meyer through other people. I can tell you stories that I never will because I don't want to betray their confidence. He's a terrible human being. And it turns out he's a terrible football coach in the NFL as well. All right. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. I want to thank Vashti for joining us in Dallas. I want to thank Stephanie. I want to thank Rico. And I want to thank all of you for making the Full Monty Sports Show such a pleasurable experience for me. In the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.